Before the story begins, imagine standing in a ballroom where every eye is fixed on one impossible moment. A billionaire who could have danced with anyone in the room slowly walks past celebrities, socialites, and wealthy business families. Instead, he stops in front of the quietest girl in the hall, a young woman wearing a simple blue dress that looked painfully out of place among glittering designer gowns. The music begins, the room falls silent, and with one gentle gesture, he asks her to dance. No one knows why. No one understands what he sees in her. But before the final note fades, she leans closer and whispers something that leaves him frozen, while everyone watching realizes they have just witnessed a choice that will change two lives forever. If you believe kindness and second chances can change someone's destiny, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone you love, and subscribe to True Tale Time for more emotional stories that remind us humanity is still alive. Every city had stories about billionaire Adrian Mercer. Newspapers praised him as a fearless entrepreneur who had transformed failing companies into global success stories. Financial magazines admired his intelligence, while business rivals respected his discipline. Yet none of those headlines ever mentioned the lonely evenings he spent raising his 8-year-old daughter, Nora, after losing his wife to a sudden illness years earlier. Every business victory felt incomplete because the one person he wanted to celebrate with was gone forever. He poured his love into his daughter, making sure she never lacked affection, but deep inside he carried a quiet emptiness that wealth could never erase. Invitations to glamorous charity galas became routine obligations instead of celebrations, and he attended them only because he believed successful people had a responsibility to help others. Across the city lived Maren Ellis, a young woman whose life looked nothing like Adrian's. She worked 2 daytime jobs, cleaning offices in the morning and arranging flowers for a neighborhood shop in the afternoon. Every dollar she earned went toward caring for her elderly grandmother, who had raised her after her parents passed away. Expensive clothes, luxury dinners, and dreams of wealth had never interested Maren. She believed the richest people were those who could still smile after difficult days. When the flower shop received an unexpected request to decorate the city's largest charity gala, Maren volunteered without hesitation, hoping the extra payment would cover her grandmother's medicine for another month. The grand ballroom sparkled beneath crystal chandeliers as guests arrived wearing elegant suits and breathtaking gowns. Cameras flashed endlessly while reporters chased famous names. Maren quietly finished placing the final bouquet before preparing to leave through the service entrance, but an event organizer stopped her. A guest had cancelled at the last moment, leaving one seat empty. Rather than waste it, the organizer insisted she stay for dinner since she had worked so hard throughout the day. Embarrassed by her modest dress yet too polite to refuse, Maren accepted and found herself sitting alone at a distant table, hoping nobody would notice her. Adrian noticed her almost immediately, not because of her appearance but because she was the only person in the room paying attention to the elderly volunteers instead of wealthy donors. While others competed for photographs and attention, Maren quietly helped an older server carry heavy trays after noticing his trembling hands. She smiled at strangers without expecting anything in return, and Nora, sitting beside her father, watched with admiration. When the orchestra announced the traditional charity dance, countless women expected Adrian to invite one of them. Instead, Nora gently whispered that the flower lady looked lonely. Without another thought, Adrian stood, crossed the ballroom, and extended his hand toward Maren. The room filled with whispers. Cameras turned instantly toward them. Social media influencers rushed to capture every second. Some guests laughed quietly, assuming it must be a publicity stunt. Others looked offended that the city's most admired billionaire had ignored every wealthy socialite present. Maren's heart raced with uncertainty, but she accepted his hand because refusing would have embarrassed them both. As they slowly moved across the polished dance floor beneath soft daylight streaming through towering glass windows, neither of them cared about the crowd anymore. Adrian was surprised by how peaceful he felt, while Maren forgot she was surrounded by people far richer than herself. Near the end of the dance, Maren softly whispered words that stopped Adrian's heart. She quietly told him that everyone had just watched him choose her, and that such moments could change how people believe they deserve to be treated. She explained that little girls watching from the charity live stream would remember that kindness had been chosen over wealth, and perhaps someone who always felt invisible would finally believe they mattered too. Adrian realized she wasn't thinking about herself at all. She was thinking about strangers she would never meet. In that instant, he understood why Nora had smiled the moment she saw Marin. The following morning, photographs of the dance spread across newspapers and the internet. Many people criticized Adrian for ignoring social expectations, while others celebrated his humility. Marin suddenly found herself recognized wherever she went, but she refused interviews and returned to arranging flowers exactly as before. She believed one beautiful evening should never become the reason people admired her. Meanwhile, Nora kept asking about the kind woman who smelled like fresh roses and helped tired workers instead of chasing famous guests. Days later, Adrian visited the little flower shop with Nora. Instead of arriving with security teams and photographers, they came quietly during daylight carrying nothing more than gratitude. Nora hugged Marin without hesitation, thanking her for showing her that true elegance came from kindness rather than expensive dresses. Marin's grandmother welcomed them with warm smiles and homemade tea, creating a simple afternoon that felt richer than any luxury banquet Adrian had ever attended. For the first time in years, laughter filled his heart without sadness following behind it. Over the following months, Adrian partnered with Marin to expand scholarship programs for hardworking young people from struggling families. She insisted that every project should preserve dignity instead of creating pity, believing that opportunities changed lives far more than charity alone. Together they built community gardens, funded schools, and created jobs for parents who simply needed someone to believe in them. Their story became less about romance and more about two people proving that compassion could stand taller than status. Eventually, friendship quietly blossomed into love, witnessed first by Nora, whose happiest smile returned after years of silent grief. If this story has touched your heart and reminded you that genuine love begins with kindness, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, and let us know your thoughts in the comments because your support helps us continue sharing meaningful stories here on True Tale Time.